Hello again. My name is Mike. I'm a chaplain with Trinity of Christ Ministries. I'm also a relationship coach specializing in intimacy and infidelity issues. And today we're going to ask the question, should you contact the affair partner? Now, there may be a great urge to do this, and those urges will come from many different reasons. So it's best, you found out about the affair. You maybe you know who the affair partner is. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are wanting to find out. But let's assume you have found out who this person is and you're asking yourself, should I contact this person? Well, I guess the first thing to ask yourself is the reason you would like to contact the affair partner. And most of the time it's because you believe that you will get the whole truth. You will get the truth that your spouse isn't giving you. You'll get the whole story and set the record straight. Um, I can tell you probably not. Um, you also say to yourself to get closure. Uh, this almost never works. It it will not give you closure. This is something that it's easy to tell yourself that if you had all the facts and all the story and the whole truth, that you could get closure of why this happened. Um, the reason it usually doesn't work, almost never works, in fact, is because um, this affair partner will most likely not be honest anyway, especially if they still are in the affair. So uh, you're not going to get the whole truth. I know you think you will, but you won't. This person has every reason in the world to be disingenuous and lie to your face. Uh, I mean, they've had an affair with your partner. They're obviously, doesn't have too many qualms about, about being deceitful. So, uh, it, you know, you want them to know how much they hurt you. Uh, you're expecting like maybe, well, if I tell this person how much they've hurt me and how much they've destroyed my life or something like that, that uh they'll have some kind of premonition or God will come to them and cleanse their soul or something of that nature. But yeah, usually that's not going to happen either. Um, if they weren't concerned about you when they started the affair, why would you think they would be concerned with how you feel now? You know, again, this person has shown if they knew that your spouse was married, they have shown that this doesn't impede you know, their thought process. So they're still justifying this in their mind, and they may well feel that they're right and it's the right thing to do and it's okay. So you going to confront them and trying to make them feel bad is probably not going to work. Uh, because they have already justified their role in their mind. That justification will come, well, he or she doesn't treat them right, and I do. Uh, they don't deserve them, and I do. They deserve better. These are all going to be things that they've said to themselves that justify what they're doing if they know that this person is married. And most of the time they do. There are some examples where people may, cheat with a married person, but they don't know they're married. Uh, but more often than not, they usually know. because this person has to sneak around to, spend time with the affair partner. And it's not hard for the affair partner to figure out, well, if you're single, why can you only see me certain times and certain days and, things of that nature. So usually they already know that this person is married. Um, Again, they're very likely to lie to you, especially if they're still involved with this person. You have to remember that they're probably experiencing limerence and all these other dopamine hits that your partner is feeling. So, they don't really have a reason, to tell you the truth, or at least not the whole truth. They may give you a little bit here and there, but the whole truth is most likely they're not going to share everything with you that you might think they would. Um, their input and what they have to say about the affair will not support your healing. If you think you're going to go to this affair partner and confront them with, about the affair, and you think that this is going to help your healing process, help you get over these feelings, all this crazy chaos that's going on in your mind and your heart right now, uh, it won't. It will not support your healing. In fact, in most cases, it prolongs the healing. It makes it harder, not easier. Um, Another thing to consider is it could hurt you in court during, if it leads to a divorce or, different type court proceedings that may arise from this affair. You contacting this affair partner may very well hurt your case, especially if do something a little crazy. Uh, if you go get, physical with this person and put your hands on them, or you call and make threatening phone calls to this person. Because I can tell you right now, I know in your mind you're going to feel perfectly justified, but the court will not see it that way. Um, the law is the law, and no matter what this person did, you don't get to go beat them up because you're mad. You don't get to, go to their work and confront them. You don't get to go you don't get to go make phone calls all the time and things like that harass these people. So you need to keep that in mind. This very well may one day end up in front of a judge, and you don't want to get up in front of the judge, you know, especially during divorce proceeding or something like that. And this affair partner has all this ammo on you because you have done all these, things because you were hurt and mad and sad. So you really need to think about that also, especially if you're one of these people who are going to give, uh, you know, have have these uh I don't know, tendencies to not handle your emotions well, where you could possibly become violent. Now, I'm not condemning anybody. We can all be emotional. We've all want to put our hands on somebody. That's perfectly human, especially when you've had to go through something as dramatic as what you're going through with an affair. But again, in front of a judge in a court, that's not going to matter. You're going to look like the bad guy and the crazy person. You don't want to give them that kind of ammo. So, be careful of that. Try to think about it reasonably and not overreact as far as confronting them. Um, what's the best thing to do? What do I recommend? What's the best thing to do with an affair partner? Well, the best thing you can do, in my personal opinion, is to ghost them completely. Don't talk to them. Don't, if they come to you with any questions, don't answer anything. Don't talk to them. Have absolutely nothing to do with them because they are not going to have your best interest in mind. Now, let me say, with the exception of one exception, may be if this person didn't know your spouse was married to you, they may be just as traumatized and hurt as you are. And I know it's going to be hard for you to realize how, you know, how hurt they are because you can't see it. But, imagine yourself meeting this person, this woman, this man, and really liking them and hitting it off and then starting a relationship with this person and then finding out that you're not the only one. Well, that can be very devastating, you know. And it's natural for you to be mad or something like that, or maybe even blame them. But one thing you have to remember in affairs, it takes two to tango. So your spouse willingly chose to engage in this affair. Nobody walks into your marriage unless you open the door. So try to keep that in mind. If this person didn't know, they're probably as devastated as you are to figure out, they start developing feelings for this person or something like that. And then to find out that this person is married when they've been lied to the entire time, that's very devastating for a lot of people. So if they didn't know, you know, try to be a little reasonable and understanding. And I know it's very hard to do when you're in that state of mind and you're hurt, but try to be a little reasonable and understanding with what this person may also be dealing with on their end, because they were lied on, they were lied to and cheated on also. They thought they were the only person, and then they find out they're not. So, they're dealing with trauma the same as the spouse is dealing with. Um, this next part, you'll find a little bit, um, probably my advice might be a little bit different than a lot of other counselors, coaches. They'll tell you if you find out your spouse is having an affair, they'll tell you not to contact their wife or their husband. And I know I'm going against the grain here. I totally disagree with that. Totally disagree with that. You absolutely 100% should contact their wife or their husband. Absolutely. I hear counselors recommend that you don't do this. Uh, and I'll tell you why. Well, you're going to cause this person a lot of pain. You're going to, you're dropping a bomb in the middle of their life, and it can destroy everything. And this sort of thing that these other counselors and coaches say. I realize this may come off as like a little insensitive, but their response to the information you give them is not your responsibility. It's not your problem. You gave them the information, hey, your husband's cheating on you, your wife's cheating on you. Now, what they choose to do with that information and how they choose to process that information is not your problem. That's their problem. And it soon becomes their spouse's problem. Because if your spouse was cheating on you and somebody knew it, and if they're the person they were cheating on you with, if their spouse knew about it, would you want them to tell you? I certainly would. I would definitely want to know. I think most people would. And I also think that this is the right thing to do. I think that we should tell the spouse of the affair partner, because this person needs to know that how much they're being betrayed, they're being lied to. Now, maybe they know. Uh, they may not care. And in many cases, it's not they don't care. It's just that they don't want to deal with the fallout. They don't want to deal with, possibly, custody with kids and selling the house and splitting finances or whatever, court. They don't want to deal with any of that. So they may choose to live in the lie. Now, if they make that choice, that is their choice. That's perfectly, reasonable for them, then so be it. They choose to live with that. They choose to live with a cheater. They choose to be disrespected in their own marriage. Well, then if that's what they choose, then that's their life. That's their right. They can choose that if they'd like to. But here's the difference. They know, they know you made sure that this person knew what was going on. Now, what this person does with their information, again, is not up to you. It's not your problem. You told them. Now they get to choose how to react to that information. But I don't agree with these other counselors and coaches a lot of times. No, not all of them, but a lot of them will say, don't contact the affair partner as spouse and let them know because it destroyed their life. Well, you didn't destroy their life. Okay. First, that's a load of malarkey. You didn't destroy their life. Their spouse destroyed their life. Their spouse destroyed their marriage. Their spouse is the one who made that choice, not you. Okay. So this stuff about, oh, it destroyed their life and all that. Well, I never want to be the bearer of bad news either, but I also want somebody to tell me the truth and tell me something that my significant other is keeping from me. Um, and you put the ball in their court and then you let them make the decision on how they want to handle it. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't want to face reality. Maybe they'll think you're lying. Maybe, but that's their choice. If you provide the information that they want to know and they choose not to accept that information, they want to think that maybe you're lying and they want to believe their spouse over you, then they can do that. But I absolutely think that you should tell uh, whoever's cheating on, if somebody's cheating on somebody, I think you should tell them, especially when you're talking about destroying families and homes and everything else. This person can't make the decision. If you think about it this way, this person is robbed of a decision if they don't know. They don't get the choice if they want to stay and reconcile or if they want to end the marriage and leave or make, maybe the spouse leaves, but whoever, they don't get to make that decision because you never gave them the information. Everyone has a right to make that decision for themselves. Now, maybe they reconcile. That's fine too. If you can do that, that's good. But it regardless of whether they reconcile or not, you've at least gave these people the information they need to make this choice on their own. Hopefully they'll pray about it. Hopefully they'll seek counsel and guidance before they make a drastic decision. But again, it's their decision and their choice. And by giving them this information that their spouse is being unfaithful, you give them the choice to make that decision. If you don't say anything, they don't get a choice because they don't know it. And most likely they will find out eventually anyway. They almost always do. But the sooner, the better. So I agree that it can be a little devastating for some people. Some people handle it sort of well. Some people it can be very devastating for, and they don't take it well at all. But this is, not for you to decide. This is their decision on how they want to handle this. Um, so I just wanted to clarify some of these things. When you're going to contact an affair partner, it's usually not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend it myself uh, because it usually doesn't lead to what you think it does. It's not going to help you heal. It's not going to give you closure. In fact, completely ghosting them, ignoring them completely, and having no contact with them will help you heal much faster than confrontation, because confrontation is not going to change anything. Uh, and again, you don't want that against you if, later on there's a court case or something like that. So just keep that in mind, if this issue ever comes up. Uh, I'm Chaplain Mike with Trinity of Christ Ministries. I thank you for watching. This is part of our ongoing infidelity and intimacy series that we do on this channel. You can find us at trinityofchrist.org. You can also find us on Facebook, and as well as on YouTube. Just search TOCM and we should pop right up on your screen. I appreciate you watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.